this is Dignitas's pick, then it's safe to say that Immortals are going to ask to defend first. So that's most likely going to be the play coming out of them, at least. And exactly that, dephh. It's pretty much standard play. I think MAKKA is hovering over Sky. She ain't allowed just yet. You're going to have to wait a couple more weeks at this point. But I guess the main thing is Orderus moving away from the Jett to the Raze. And jmoh isn't considering the same, but Genghsta away from the Silver is going to sort of fill up that slot. So triple duelist, actually, from Immortals. We've not seen them play split, at least in a long, long time, where the roster was potentially a bit better. And a bit different, a bit better. Freudian slip there. I actually prefer this team a lot more, and I think the potential is there. Whoops. But then, like, biased casters, right? Anyway.
Yeah, for sure,
but, like,
dude.
They did play, I remember, against Sandbox in the Renegades tournament, but they played up against Sandbox, right? And Sandbox really liked this map, as we saw yesterday. So I wouldn't necessarily say that there's no hope for Immortals. It's just that Dignitas are more than happy to bring this out. And the fact that Immortals, for the most part, have been the top seed, they have been banning out Split because they haven't played it, right? So it's certainly worth bearing in mind going into this. But Immortals, having the defending advantage, at least going into this, they got to make it count.
Well, we'll see how things go. High risk comes with high reward potentially for Immortals with this triple duelist setup. The thing they're missing, though, in comparison would be mostly just off the fact that you're missing the breach, I think, is the biggest thing here. Again, an agent that's found a lot of value across a number of teams so far. And as Dignitas are approaching their opening attack, they're going to keep the spike over towards B, which dephh is the first one forward on. But interestingly enough, the two members that are played over by A have walked up to A ramps, and this gunfight is dicey, but dephh still wins the first kill. So now you're actually going to rotate through the vents. Shot up is here, but is only good for one. Would have loved to have had the second. And now Immortals forced to try to retake in a 3v4, and there's nobody left on site or even on top, and you still have MAKKA who's lurking mid-map.
That was a very straightforward push onto the site. It was just dephh just walking in. It was more straightforward. The utility has been saved, and MAKKA's got a nice little lurking spot. We cut away just as he's about to take the fight, but Stani gets it, but it brings him away from the main topic, which is going to be how to retake this B site. Utility set up the turret's going to give away. Paranoia does sort of miss. It comes across, but there's some nice little off angles. Immortals are making this close.
That's a beautiful retake for Immortals. Last one left is Psalm. He's not even close to a position to where he can contest the defuse, and you really have to give credit to Immortals. You have to make the choice of, we need to clear mid-map. And I don't know if they got information fully confirmed on MAKKA, or if they were just predicting that there was someone who was still lurking. But regardless of the situation, they capitalize on the isolated kill. They do it cleanly. They split their resources up as far as the retake. You keep one up top, two down low. The Paranoia can't confirm all of you. And with good help from the top side, Immortals cleanly retake at the last second. Beautiful stuff for Immortals to get their defense online early. But how about this? Going into our second round, Dig are going to 5-man Stinger upgrade to force into the following round.
The perfect start, really. Force up, like you mentioned. Speaking of phase up, I'm pretty sure they've just lost their first game to Moon Raccoon, and you can check that if you look at the streams in Twitch. But Dignitas have taken a lot of space already when it comes to ARAM. And I don't think Immortals have a clue in on how much they've moved up. Genghsta is having to double take to keep an eye on it. And even we're seeing Neptune moving up a little bit more just to see at that point. So Dignitas have already clawed a little bit of space for them. The Immortals have to treat this with the right amount of respect.
And it looks like for Immortals, they're going to try to do a retake off the tower. A lot of teams have given up a tower in the past and played for a retake to try to get the high ground, knowing that eventually your offense are going to have to go aggressively to get onto site. Paint Shell's going to come through for Genghsta. Now down low, he gets a great read off of some intel gathering tools. And even though he loses Neptune, they still go 1-for-1. A ton of damage is confirmed off the Paint Shells. And now the defensive reinforcements are here for Immortals as they hold the high ground. The only difference is the fact that you do have one player in Psalm looking to maybe challenge this as soon as the retake does confirm to go. So how do you hold on to the site if you're Dig? jcStani from the backside screens. Paranoia's going to come through. There's the execute. One player up top still. You got to keep an eye on through. It's going to be, again, up top for the side of Psalm. Genghsta on the site. This is Immortals considering that everything is in front of them, but Psalm will find a kill up top, not going to respond. Psalm for 2. Needs to find the last, though. Gets a couple of overheals. Tries to take the shell down low, and he can read jcStani, and the force buy for Dig will pan out. Psalm for 3 to convert.
And it was just great play from the whole of that round for Dignitas. The way that they aggressively took a ramp control. Immortals just couldn't really get a hold of it on any point. You can see a couple of the pings on the minimap. A similar execute might be coming through. It's broken. Immortals, their money is not good enough here. And I think that might be a case of Dig maybe considering doing a fast execute into a full buy. But now that they know that they're going to be most likely going into a couple of pistols, Stinger at worst from shot up, going to maybe slow down the play and not rush into anything.
Bold call for Dig, but an important one that pans out for them, leading to a third round that they will have a small advantage, and then going into a fourth, depending on how this goes, they'll still be able to purchase into ARs afterwards. Boombot will confirm some information that there are players sitting aggressively at A ramps. Interesting. MAKKA is actually rotating back over to A. And with that Boombot taken care of, Shot Up has actually moved pretty far forward. He's clearing space, and the timing of this pick could have been everything. That would have been the spike down, but unfortunately, Shot Up can't confirm the kill at range with the Stinger. So now all of a sudden, they know there's a player nearby and up close at A, so it's going to be a full commitment onto B main. jcStani on the site. Can he find any kills? No, he cannot. dephh and Psalm for 3 in combination, and Immortals, really no chance for them to contest this spike plant.
It was really good play to sort of push A main to get that information. The rotation and the raid from Immortals from then on out was so good. The issue is they just don't really have the guns. It's just leapt up to Shot Up, who was able to get a bit of damage in with a Stinger. Almost gets a kill onto Sam, but not enough. A flawless round for Dignitas. It could have very well been a different affair. But now we see our first full buy from either side. The Empress is available from Sam, who I think has been using it a lot more liberally than Shot Up. That impact has been seen. Question is jmoh has the operator now, has the Blade Storm, so it's going to be playing actually very aggressively on A ramp. He's hoping to sort of run into Dignitas, who are looking to go into a very fast execute to take a lot of that space. This is a lot of weight on the shoulders of Shot Up and jmoh here. They need to come in clutch.
This is everything for Immortals. You lose this battle, you likely lose the round because no one has full armor for the side of Immortals. And now the flash comes through. Decent trades, though, for the side of IMT, as there's good help from jcStani. jmoh's still caught out. One more flash comes through. MAKKA able to find the kill, but the operator staying concealed will still punish. So we'll get a 3v2 early after a dicey engagement over through A ramps favoring Immortals defense.
But these two surviving players from Dignitas, they weren't a part of that execution. They were taking all of this space. The issue is the spike was left in A main at this point. Supper's going to be watching for any rotations that come through. There is a tripwire there. And Immortals only down to 3 players at this point. It's very difficult for them to just contain all areas of this map. They're doing their best. Whilst Dignitas don't have an extra person to make this a 3 versus 3, it's a big ask from dephh, who's going to walk right into the sightline of an operator.
Shoulder comes through. jmoh gonna patiently wait, and the sentry turret is gonna do a bit of chip damage. jmoh having a little bit of a dance. Dig down to 30 seconds. Are gonna have to confirm this. This is actually a significant amount of damage onto jmoh. He's now down to 46 health, which you might say is kind of whatever, but the fact that you've got Spectres, that puts him in the realm of possibility to get killed, and now that the Phantom has been collected, there's an opportunity here, but Genghsta needed to respond, and he does. dephh, though, gonna have an opportunity. What happened there? Neptune just dancing a little bit, doing a little bit of a bunny hop. Easter come early, and dephh can't lock down the shots, and Immortals will be able to hold cleanly and tie things up 2-2.
It was really good for dephh to get into that position, like using the turret, having jmoh have to shoot it, and using that window to jump across the A ramp. It meant that he could group up with Supper that was in ropes throughout. But Genghsta, that paint shell was so good, it separated them. It forced Supper to play aggressively. He was able to get that frag, and from then on out, it was very difficult for the Killjoy alone to get stuff done. Really nice play from Immortals. Still another buy from Dignitas. The same ultimate that they had last time. Can they make it work?
jmoh, who's been favoring these aggressive peaks, will give it a go through B main. Not going to find the connection, but does get the read that Orderus is nearby. Psalm also in the vicinity through B main. And again, jmoh's not giving up the low ground to B. He's going to continue to hold this operator in a really tight spot. Shot Up in a tight corner. Needs to win the first gunfight. Not able to do it, but at least there's a trade. So we'll stay 4v4, but the Empress is off the table for Immortals. It is still available, though, for Dignitas. Shoulder peaks and jumps coming through, and jmoh still able to convert on a kill. Big moment there for jmoh to get the operator online early.
look at the positioning yet again of depth that's in a similar spot that we saw him in last time. The tripwire has meant that he's going to be just stopping in this position right now. And a lot of spread out map control from Dig is now going to be focused towards hitting this A site. There's Cypher utility there, as well as the Omen anchored onto the site with her from the shadows if he needs to get out of there. But a rotation going to come in. That tripwire was broken. Another one. The Immortals know exactly what's going to be going on.
Oh, but jcStani on the site might just be enough. Neptune does get taken down, so now it's all onto JC. Lear's going to be able to deny line of sight, to be able to convert into the kill. Now it's the jmoh crouching underneath the song. Gates the last one left. The spike is down. 20 seconds. Showstopper coming through. Gets thrown out, and it just catches dephh on the way through. Lockdown will be spent. Not going to find value, and Immortals secure the round up 3-2.
I'm surprised that dephh faced it there, to be honest. Like, he had the Killjoy ult down. He wanted to create a bit of space for himself. Poison new position. This was really good for Dignitas to break onto the site. Immortals trying to face as much as possible. And even jmoh going down there, I thought was going to be it. So nice play from Genghsta. Was a supportive masterclass that we saw on the silver in previous rounds, in previous games that we saw earlier today. Now we're seeing him play a bit more aggressively. Showstopper is available on this side for Orderus, but Dignitas forced to save.
Early flashpoint's gonna come through. Dark cover as well. jmoh still confirms the first kill, and goodness, ever since those last few maps versus Spot Up, jmoh has been incredible. Shot up for one. He'll grab the second. That was saw him at long range over through B main, and Dignitas are just down to 2.
I like the fact that in these scary moments, Dignitas naturally group up together to trade for one another. Goes from trying to spread across the map to playing close. They push off jmoh on this angle, but Genghsta's there at least to trade out. Immortals looking good so far on this defense on Dignitas' playground, so to speak. It's not quite the same level as maybe Anbox's split or Renegades, for example, but it's decent. Dignitas now, with this full buy, will have 4 ultimates good to go. The only one they don't have was that lockdown that was used a couple of rounds ago. Immortals still have stuff to work with themselves, but really nothing to get it going. Dignitas looking to maybe execute rather heavily on this A site. Immortals are prepped for it, though. They've stacked 3 players there.
You also got to keep in mind for Dig, they only win on average 6 rounds rather on their offense. 50% of their offensive rounds come through successfully, so they still can meet that goal. But you would love to get this round right here if you're Dig to try to avoid having to make a heroic backside of this first half to come through, especially considering all the ultimates, like you mentioned, Ryan, that are potentially going to be in play. dephh will toss out a nanostorm trying to clear this left corner, but there's nobody there. And actually, beyond that, I don't think anyone's even going to see that the nanostorm came through because Immortals are playing very passively around B. Neptune will now step foot onto the low ground just inside. Cyber cage placed late. That will probably find a little bit of value here. Dark cover also being sent out over to the middle. Here comes the Rolling Thunder. That's actually used to clear off the top side of B tower. Showstopper into the back. We'll find a bit of damage. Paint shells should likely confirm the kill. Fault line also coming into play. But it doesn't actually confirm the kill. Able to get away is Neptune. He's down to 7 HP, but the fact that he's still alive is valuable. And as jcStani finds the kill, that's going to lead to numbers here for Immortals. The Empress popped up for shot up. And he's got Lears to spend as they try to work their way through, but Dignitas are still holding for now.
3 ultimates used to get this plant in, and all 5 members of Immortals alive. There is a bit of damage in. It's a spray. It's now quickly down to a 2 versus 1. dephh is just on the site, trying to wrap around as much as possible, but he's going to get pincered at the same time. Timing is a little bit awkward there as jcStani gets a pretty easy kill as dephh wraps around. Immortals 5-2 up, and Dignitas used a lot there to try and break on through, but a really good retake from Immortals there.
An incredibly expensive round from Dignitas. They're going to likely have to go to a light buy or just a full eco coming into the next round, but you spent so much. Showstopper is gone. Rolling Thunder is gone. All you have left is just the Empress that comes through, and it looks like they actually will be able to purchase up one more time. So my mistake on evaluating the economy, but a couple members will be zeroed out and down to light armor. So if you were to try to get to that 6th-round point, if you're Dignitas, that's the goal, I think. The benchmark for you against this Immortal teams that hasn't been tested in the first strike on this map. This is a must-win round for you, and you still have to go up against jmoh, who has been incredible with this operator so far in these first handful of rounds.
I guess the key thing, too, is that Immortals' economy isn't completely buffered at this point. If they lose this, it might mean that an awkward buy could be coming out. So Dignitas have at least kept them down in that fashion. And jmoh getting that entry, though, is just kind of meaning that that little bit that they were able to sliver back is going to amount to very little. The spike was even left in spawn, so Dig looking a bit out of character when it comes to play. It doesn't really say too much, but I think it says enough with how they're positioned. But I really like the aggressive play coming out of Orderus. He is in ropes. Broke any utility there, and it's kept Immortals glued onto the central parts of the map. And it might be an opening for Dignitas, who are looking to go through B main.
Orderus has no abilities to clear off B tower. And with 3 members stacked here, Dig has to find kills from the low ground. The peak is going to be there for Immortals, and as they make their way onto site, Supamen is going to realize that no one's actually here with him. Lear will come through. MAKKA trying to hold the angle. No flashes for him either. It's just the paranoia is the last bit of utility that's left. Orderus still locking things down over at ropes. The spike not being committed yet. How about this? Supa's trying to make the play around maybe the backside of spawn. This could still potentially go over to A, but the problem is the spike is not making a rotation, so it's going to have to commit. You've got now Supa on the backside. He'll find one that's the operator down. Spike has to be committed, though, and as the paranoia is sent out, this is a very tough 2v3 to hold on to for Dig. Immortals will go the wrap back around through B main and keep 2 members on top of B tower for this retake attempt.
It's whether a case of if either team overthinks at this point. MAKKA's getting into a nice position on danger. And they don't quite spot it. Genghsta with a nice wraparound is good for 2, even though Superman trades out Shotter. That was a difficult call for either team. I respect that how much they were able to get done with the lack of utility. Specifically Orderus, that was just an absolute nuisance in mid. But that came down to Genghsta. That wraparound, it was a nice play. And Dig, they just couldn't get a foothold on any part of the map. Immortals, even with just 3 players alive, were able to keep it out of their hands. Some really nice play on this defense.
Well, now the chances that Dignitas trying to reach 6 would have to come by way of an eco round here, as they'll go into 4 stingers and a sheriff. And of course, full utility, full armor, and full weaponry for Immortals, as they're looking prime to take number 7 right here in our 9th round. You still have a showstopper available just in case things look a little bit inconvincing for you if you're Immortals. 3-man stack over to A, as if they're going to predict that this eco round will just be a full flood that direction. jmoh watching the middle of the map will get information on 1, but can't confirm the shot, so he will back away and go up towards the A tower, which will give up the middle of the map to Dig.
Rotation is going to be a little bit awkward. Neptune was stacked onto the A site. Is trying to decide with jmoh where they want to play, but they know that Orderus is going to be here, so jmoh wants to watch that angle. And a really good read, actually. All 4 defenders of Immortals are stacked onto this site. They are changing up their positioning just a little bit.
This is big. The Boombot's going to be getting here just for the bait. dephh is going to make this peak likely. No, not going to happen. He gets the read that there is 1 member nearby with a Phantom, though. And Dignitas, they are grouped up, looking to A execute. Psalm holding onto a Lear. Aftershock will come through. There is the Lear in the dark cover to come through. Now the showstopper will be pulled out, but Genghsta finds nothing with it. That's the top side of A tower now being controlled by Dig. That's going to have to come down to Neptune on the site, and he's good for 2. The lockdown also called. That's placed over towards ropes, but jcStani could stay safe on the A site. He'll find another kill, and Dig will be forced to rotate back to B, in which if they can do this quick enough, it should lead to a free plant, but Immortals will be quick to be here for the potential retake. dephh shuts down spot up, though, that'll be a nice little hold for him. Alarm bot will also come through to watch the rotation, and this is all of a sudden pretty doable for Dig.
And they've got much more map control than they did last time, and it's a very similar play, pretty much the same players alive. It's just worse guns. MAKKA tries to face with the sheriff. It's just a case of if dephh can hold on to this high ground. He's got the stinger. He's able to do some damage in, but position is given up. It's just raining nano swarms now to see if he can confirm a kill at least. He can get a 3rd. He has to ace it if he wants to clutch out this round at least. There's only so many bullets left in the stinger. He can make it close. It's pretty much up to the classic. The defuse might be stuck by jmoh. He's at least wanted to get it halfway. It's an incredible ace from dephh. He had no right getting that round. That is as thrifty as it gets.
That may be play of the tournament. Unbelievable from dephh. The call for him to lock down the rotation initially is great, but these shots are something to be marveled with. The double nano swarm placement gets them off the spike for long enough, and then it's just a time game. Even if jmoh sticks, you know that you got at least some time to play with and challenge late. Unbelievable round for Dig. 12-7 now as dephh with the 5-kill ace, and Dig will be able to full purchase up, and 6 is still on the table, most importantly.
jmoh's going to be peeking with the operator.
Oh,
Nobody's
no!
checked him, but he just flanks out. The boombot's going to give away that position. That was an opening that could cost him in future rounds or even in this one. jmoh can at least get to Sam and his trade Orderus, who's able to get a couple more, including Shot Up, who gets the frag onto MAKKA. 3 versus 3. Nice angle from jmoh, who again misses a shot, has to back off. They're giving Dignitas so much room to breathe. The Genghsta's wrapped around yet again.
You do have a sentry turret, though, that's going to read Genghsta. He has to commit to this angle. So the 1v1 that's about to occur between dephh and Genghsta is everything. But Genghsta's going to sneak behind the sentry turret. That should be a free kill. Able to grab it, and now all of a sudden, Immortals have numbers and position on the map. The paint shells are also very well placed. Really nowhere for Orderus to go. He's taken down extremely low, but Supa finds a kill. Paranoia comes through. Neptune can't challenge, and Genghsta thought he flushed out the angle. Orderus for a third. Showstopper will confirm a ton of damage, and Neptune is in huge trouble. 1v2 time against him, and Supa will find the kill. Dig with some late life here in their attacking half.
Oh, Genghsta, it's so unfortunate. He did so much damage to Orderus in that corner, but just assumed that there was nobody there after he cleared it. If somebody was there, surely they're dying. That's exactly what Genghsta was thinking in that scenario, and Orderus just kept his composure, kept that angle, and even brought out the showstopper, which didn't get a frag, but did so much damage to Neptune. Dig over these past couple of rounds have had some insane plays, and it has broken Immortals' economy for the first time meaningfully because they got 5 in a row. Now it's all Dig.
dephh, early Storm Grenade actually holds back this potential play from Immortals. Alarm bot will also go down. Here comes the challenge, though, and how about that double peek? Psalm and dephh able to respond beautifully. Lear will come through, Paranoia as well. That will be enough for this take to come out, but Shot Up with a stinger. Sitting here saying, all right, dephh, I see what you could do. Let's see if I can do the same. We'll be good for at least 1 kill. And how about this? Immortals are going to full wrap through middle? I was about to say, this would be really risky. They're just going to clear to make sure there is no post plant set up for someone lurking. But the problem is MAKKA has taken the long rotation through mid-market. So there will be pressure for Dig on the post plant over towards B tower. And with this, Dig will also commit for an Empress. They really want this 5th round. Zalm's able to find 1 kill. Shot up top. Really not a lot of chance for him. He gets a lot of damage confirmed, but Supa able to get the kill, and with that, Orderus follows behind it, and all of a sudden, we're at 6-5 going to the last round of the half.
Last round in the half.
I think this would be a real disaster for Immortals, winning 5 rounds in a row to end this 6-all. Going to attack against a team like Dig, that's a scary prospect, and dephh has really adjusted to this new Killjoy. He's top fragging for his team across all of the server. Some really solid stuff, and this is an important round. I even think this 1 round for Immortals to make it 7-5 is so key. They have the Empress. Shot Up has not really been keen on using it at all, but it's dephh with another lockdown available after that ace. Really curious to see how he plays around with it.
Very early trigger on this Empress for Immortals, and Shot Up is going nowhere with it. He's just holding a ramp, so Dignitas are just going to play safe angles, safe corners, make sure that if there is an aggressive play, they can stay safe or play for a trade, and that's a huge ultimate that's going to be off the table.
Lockdown bait may be coming in on B. They are rotating around, so maybe they are going to use it to execute. But the fact that Dignitas were over mostly on A, they were looking to maybe use it as bait, but I do think the Empress put them off, because they know that Shot Up plays there roughly. It's completely rescinded. The ultimate has been used up, so Shot Up's going to get absolutely nothing for it. So respect from Dignitas to, wait it out. They have the patience. Absolutely played around Shot Up's idea there, but the lockdown is looking to come in, and jmoh's going to face this super aggressively. Must be expecting it.
Has to hit a shot here. He misses it. This entire B site is going to be wide open. Lockdown will come through. How about this? Neptune's going to actually inch forward. He can't stay here for long. This lockdown's going to be the commitment here for Dig. And jmoh wants to make sure that he's safe. He misses the shot. Now the Paranoia comes through and jmoh's down. Dig all of a sudden with numbers. You've got the From the Shadows being used over towards B tower. You've also got the Rolling Thunder to come down. Neptune has to deal with the boom bot, and while he does that, Orderus finds the kill. But Shot Up and Genghsta, they respond beautifully with 2 kills of their own. Now looking for a kill. Right over the top is Shot Up. You'll find 1 from the post plant. Dismiss will come through. jcStani is here. But dephh from behind was never scouted out. So now it's just down to jcStani. The 1v2 knows where 1 is. That should be a free kill, and it is. He's going to stick this. Halfway through, does he hold it beyond it? Nanoswarm is not in the right position. No way, jcStani stays safe. dephh thought that he put the Nanoswarm down properly. It was just a touch too wide. And Immortals, they steal away around and win the half 7-5.
That's so unfortunate from a sterling Killjoy show that we saw from dephh overall. I want to say it's a masterclass again, but I feel like that's been today. We've seen some really good agent plays coming throughout. But man, Genghsta on the Raze, I was a bit of a, okay, I mean, this is working, but this I feel is where this triple duelist comp that's in Immortals' favor, it has to find success on this attack. It's got to be really aggressive. I hope we see some Ambox Renegades levels of executes, because Dignitas didn't really do that. And I honestly do feel the fact that Dignitas have got 3 players stacked up in these positions, they're expecting a very quick turn here.
Immortals, again, back to the Ignition Series era, were just underneath 40% win rate on attack. It was by far their weaker half, without question. So will there be some early desperate plays to come through? A lot of damage has already been confirmed really on the both side. Dignitas still with members though lurking. Death able to make use of the Nanostorm for 1, but is traded back as the Page Shells finds his elimination. And now as jcStani walks forward, he checks the angle. That's Orderus down. Now the opposite peak from the elbow. That'll also be found. jcStani for 2. And this should lead to a spike plant as Dignitas' last 2 members are rotating from B, and they're going to try to contest the high ground, of which Shot Up is ready for. He's able to find the kill, and Immortals are looking prime to take the first pistol.
Shot Up takes a little bit of damage. Everybody from Immortals hit their shots there. Like, I forget how good these guys are at clicking heads. The Supper's got to try and do something similar, but click 4 in a row in probably about 20 seconds time if he wants to go for this defuse, so it's not likely. A great opening for Immortals to increase their lead. Going into the first full buy, 9-5 up. Not a bad look at all, really. In that case, you just need to win a few more rounds at this point. Dignitas are not really that concerned at this point. We're not really seeing a force, just a couple of the smaller pistols. Orderus still with a shorty. I wonder where he's going to place himself at this point. Seems to be more of a triple stack towards B more than anything, but Immortals played that perfectly and hit the shots that they needed to, which I think everything needs to hit now if they want to beat Dignitas on split.
It's going to be maybe a Boombot and Lear combination to see if they can get, I was going to say, maybe they're trying to get Orderus forward to B main to try to make use of this shorty for at least a kill, but they won't read any information off the Boombot, so they'll back away. Supamen already tagged up pretty heavy. Pain shells will come through early, and Immortals will just back away to stay safe from it and technically come away the victors on this early engagement with just abilities that are being sent out through the mid-map.
All 5 of them ready to hit on mid, all crossfiring each other. Immortals treating it properly, but Orderus, the shorty on this corner, is certainly a play that you don't necessarily expect, but with the amount of utility that these guys will have, specifically the flashes, I'd be surprised if he gets one. We'll see.
He needs to. I mean, that's really all the shorty is good for, you feel like. is good
well, the rest
one.
of his team have rotated in just as Immortals have moved away.
Oh, Psalm. Patience. Patience from Psalm sees 2. The Lear coming out, and oh, he's going to find one. Dismisses away, staying alive. That's a weapon that's on the ground, and he can read the rotation that Immortals have moved through sewer. Defensively, Dig need to start making their way over to A. The only problem is that on the opposite side, Neptune is taking away the rotation through the B, or pretty much through the A screens, and with that, dephh will fall, and we go 4v4.
Here.
Information wasn't really enough for Dignitas in that scenario. They just needed the weaponry. Neptune is going to take a bit more space. It's more a case of, at this point, if the Raze spots him, Orderus gets that kill with a shorty, so I guess I was wrong. I just didn't expect it to come in that fashion. Genghsta is going to be able to spray down, and these defenders are going to try and play for the retake. But really now it's Orderus picking up the Spectre, moving back up, and trying to get some exit frags.
Might get an opportunity at 1, depending on if their paths cross over through A main. Or if the timing here is good, it will be.
He's going to go for it.
Shells to come through. It's not enough time regardless, but got to give him some credit for making use of the Spectre he found on the ground to punish Immortals just a little bit. But again, Immortals will be fine being up 9-5 into a position where they can repurchase and do almost everything that they want.
This is such a key round to win if you're Immortals, though. And you can tell they've bought up. They're not playing for a bonus round. The operator was at least picked up for a second, but actually, no, they've gone against it. Really shows that they're in 2 minds on how to play this, whether they fully go for this as a must-win round by dedicating all of their economy to buying up, But no, they're actually going to go, we're ahead. Let's slow this down. If we can get this, it would be major, but it's not necessary. That could be a bit of a problem if this doesn't go their way in the future, though.
And the question from here is, do you try to milk this round for all it's worth for Immortals? You try to play for each of the ultimate orbs. Doesn't look like it. They want to get aggressive up towards A tower. Pardon me, towards B tower. Shot up is going to be the first one through. Lear will be used to try to deny. Oh my goodness, the paranoia that was beautifully placed. And Psalm is still able to find the first kill. Supamen another. And this has all gone wrong. Psalm finds a second. Knows there's one more nearby. There's the third. And dephh cleans up the final kill just as simultaneously jmoh falls. So a flawless round for Dignitas. And that's exactly what you needed if you wanted to make sure that Immortals couldn't punish you completely.
And those little guns aren't going to find too much impact. So in a sense, Immortals will be glad that they lost that round so decisively, really. Just outplayed at this position from dephh. It's certainly, I wouldn't even say as much of a gamble as picking up the bigger guns. But now this round has a lot of weigh in on it. And Dignitas, Sam has the Empress, has found a lot of success with it. There are a few ultimates almost coming online, namely the Empress on the side of Immortals. They're not going to be playing around it. The positioning of Dignitas is very centralized. They're not going to be taking extremities. They're not going to try and aggress on these attackers. They are playing this as carefully as possible.
You did see for a number of members for Dig, they could not fully purchase up into full armor. So a small advantage here for Immortals. Just comes down to what can they find here. Maybe that's the other way around. Excuse me. It was Dignitas that had full armor. Immortals that couldn't fully purchase up into the exactly what they wanted to. There's the confirmation on that. And as they do take over mid control, just comes down to making a decision of do we want to execute over towards B or try to hit all through ropes. Both are dangerous options, and as the Lear comes through, we'll get our answer. Psalm will also be hit by a paranoia. He'll throw a Lear on response, try to keep everything safe for now. Down low, big 1v1. Psalm finds the first, gets the overheal. Second one up top, the Empress is shut down immediately. Dig, though, still in a 3v2. jcStani low. Gonna try to teleport on. Information for Psalm here as he hears one player drop. There's his third kill working for the fourth. It's just jcStani on 11 HP, and he's got a number of members to deal with, and as the flashpoint comes out, Psalm will confirm the fourth. Big shutdown, though, for Dig to make sure that Shot Up never had a chance to get the Empress online.
And it felt like a bit of miscommunication. Sam didn't move off this point, but you can tell from jmoh's reaction that he wasn't expecting him to be there. It's not really the first time that we've seen these teams kind of miss a couple of players in positions like this. It was Orderus last time on Ascent. But that shouldn't be as surprising to know that Sam was still there. It wasn't the Empress in play. He wasn't completely invisible. And that's a big one to lose if you're Immortals. This is going to be a half buy coming in from them. And if Dignitas win this, they're only a round behind, and that defender's advantage starts to make itself notable.
Still the same loadout here for Immortals as far as how they're trying to hit this map. It's going to be 4 members stacked over through mid. But look at this. Dignitas actually have 1 member freed up through B main. They're going to find the isolated kill to jcStani. Orderus, he's going to be up for a couple, but doesn't actually find one. So now jmoh's got a weapon to play with, and he's going to make use of it. Finds the kill. They know that they still have Super that's isolated over towards B main, so he has to back completely away. And Immortals will get onto the site, plant the spike, and they've got themselves a 4v3 situation with some pretty good health pools to work with.
And they've got really good positioning as well. We've seen them on Ascent where they just completely split up, but they're grouping up together. They're going to try and break this down bit by bit. The turret's going to be used just to keep an eye on this angle more than anything, but a bit of aggression coming out of Immortals, trying to hold off this retake, but Super punishes it. Neptune at least wins that engagement with dephh. MAKKA's made a lot of space, and he's going to be fighting up against Neptune, who's low. Luckily Genghsta trades, but he gets traded out by Super. 1v1. Super's so low health, but jmoh wins that engagement. Boy, it was a thrifty round. It was an important one. It wasn't one you expected Immortals to win. And Dignitas still have money. There's so many ults on the table. This is going to be an insane round coming up.
It's just such a... I would say just the risk and reward. You know, Dignitas, they send 2 members through B main. They do find an isolated pick. They give themselves the early numbers, but Immortals could just overwhelm through B tower. And as soon as you take up the B tower area, you've got no attempt to make your way back through B main with the characters that they had for Dignitas sitting inside B main. There's just no chance of ever
showstopper.
come back through, so the isolation was good. Opening explosions being sent out for both squads. The showstoppers will be traded. None gonna find value, but jcStani, he sticks from the shadows at elbow and walks away with 2 kills. Immortals in a 5v2. The spike will be planted at A. And now for Dig, you're in a lot of trouble as supamen will just teleport right into the waiting arms of jcStani. And now dephh just has to save the operator at all costs.
One down.
Stani wanting to get a couple more for his trouble. deph's position given up. They know that he has the operator. More case of trying to hold on to it. Everybody's going to be pushing him, and even Genghsta almost gets caught out a little bit there. Even taking the operator out of the hands of Dig is so important. Immortals, just 2 more rounds, and they could bring us to a 3rd map. They could take us away from an area where it's certainly a lot of question marks on how well they would do on a map that they've not played with this roster, at least not for a long, long time. But then we would go to Haven, I think, because Bind was banned out.
Yeah.
And seeing both these 2 teams taking lumps out of each other on such a brawly map like Haven, ooh, that's exciting to watch, but we're not there yet. Dignitas have a lockdown ready. They've not really got the money to be dedicating these ultimates alongside with. The Immortals know that they're defaulting across the map.
Crossfire set up for Dig in mid, though. Cloudburst will come through. Paint shells used to clear off Mail. First one through will be shot up. Bladestorm going to be committed for Immortals as well into this approach. Nobody checks through ropes, though. It's going to have to be down to the lurk of Neptune, who's not going to be here, so the timing of this for Dig could actually be incredible for them. No one is holding onto the high ground right now for Immortals. There's a couple players top rafters, but will that be enough? They turned their attention just in the nick of time. Shot up is good for 1. The knives are a bit astray, but there is good help. It looks like it could be a flawless round coming through. Empress is popped, though, for Song. He's got an opportunity here, and nearly is able to collide on the 2 more members. It would have given him a really good look at a potential 1v2 to close things up, but Immortals will not give him the opportunity, and they'll be on map point up 12-7.
Dig have not dropped a map at all so far in this qualifier. And this would be the first. They have the lockdown still, and they can still go into this round at least with a bye. That was kind of what they were expecting with what they picked up in the previous round. It really isn't too much for Immortals to make use of when it comes to the ult economy to break on, but I think that's one of the reasons why, yet again, they're defaulting, and there's actually a mid-push here that could easily catch out Shutter, but he does get traded out. He's at least good for 1. It's just whether a case of Immortals from this position actually decide to execute onto a map quickly, and from the shadows does get used to go in A.
The trade is fine, I think, for both sides. The problem is you've got nobody that can even read what Immortals is doing on the A site. But while all that is considered, keep in mind that Genghsta with the spike is nowhere near this play, so it's actually going to allow an opportunity for Immortals to get set up for a quick retake. Nice paranoia, but the spam shots are better. Orderus falls, and now an opportunity for Immortals with a 4v3 to lock things up, but as they try to lock things up, it'll be a lockdown that gets placed for Dig. Spike could still be planted in the corner, but that should be information for Immortals, or from Dig, that if they're going to get this spike planted while this lockdown is in place, it can only be in one of 2 places. The aftershock was well placed, but MAKKA can't convert. That's been essentially the story of his game so far. Trades back and forth. Showstopper coming through, not even going to be necessary. Immortals, on their first attempt that we've seen them on split here in tournament play, they take down what I think a lot of people